everybody, welcome to the show, The Court of Public Opinion, we call it, from the garage. Peter Clayton is there behind the camera. How are you, Peter?
I'm good, Jeremy.
Bless you.
Can I apologise for my grammar? I'm going to do a better job.
Oh, the bits you do at the beginning of the thing.
Yes.
Oh, look, I do typos all the time.
I'm doing too many. That's all right. I'll fix it up.
Oh, well, look. We must not get paranoid, picky, or, you know, too Virgonian over these things. Anyway, there has been the odd comment.
Well, it's me. It's not you. It's me.
No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Pete just told me Melanie Safka died the other day. Melanie Safka, who did...
Look what they've done to my song.
Look what they've done to my song,
And I think she did something, Peace Will Come.
I don't
think she had a hit with that, but it was good.
But Melanie Safka, that was a great hit. Look what they've done to my song, Ma. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how old she was. Do you, Pete?
I think it was 76,
yeah.
I think.
Yes, oh well, we're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time. In fact, I think we get the old biblical 70 years and 10, and if you get anything over that, well, it's a bonus. Pure and simple. Georgie Purcell, I don't know if you know the name, but Georgie Purcell is the youngest member of the Victorian Parliament. She's 30 years old, just 30. A tattooed former stripper, a member of the Animal Justice Party. Good for you. Good for you. But that's not the story. Channel 9 did a segment featuring what Georgie says was a doctored picture. Talk about a storm in a D cup. This is what she said. They gave me big breasts and they lowered my neckline. Shock horror. Look. Why would anyone in the Channel 9 newsroom, covering a bit of local Melbourne politics, what would somebody in the newsroom, why would they Photoshop? I'm not saying they didn't, but I'm just asking why. Anyway, I think the lesson here is never Photoshop somebody unless you ask permission. But if you were going to give this young lady, who was covered with tattoos, up and down both arms, and on her tummy, why would you worry, dear, if they gave you big breasts and a lower neckline? I mean, I don't know. BMW says goodbye to electric cars. This is one of those stop the presses moment. Not that I've ever heard anyone ever say, and I've spoken to a few print journalists in my time, who have never heard anyone say, stop the presses. Oh, what's the other one, Pete? Oh, hold the front page. Hold the front page.
Well, that's worth holding the front page for.
Yeah, well, I think so.
Oh,
I think so. BMW says goodbye to electric cars, having, and I quote, perfected hydrogen power. Whoa. I hope they don't put the hydrogen power with the old expression about a car being a bomb and put that together. That could be awkward. I don't know if it's even the same technology, but they say they've perfected hydrogen power. China is to drastically cut production of electric cars. I told you that General Motors and Ford had cancelled the production of all new models of electric vehicles. Waverley Council in Sydney want to know about the safe disposal of lithium-ion batteries. All of this is mounting evidence as to a really big community problem. Well, good luck with that. I mean, disposing of the lithium-ion batteries. Pete, have you got that picture of the fire? Lithium ion fire?
I'll have to check, but if I haven't, we'll get it. We can put that on at the end.
Okay, we'll stick it on. If you can stick it on in here, be fine. If you can't, stick it on at the end. Cars on fire. And then you've got the other picture there that I think Caroline sent you with the massive acres and acres of solar collectors all smashed by a hailstorm. Dear oh dear. Mind you, none of these pictures and none of these stories seem to make it to the popular media. They all want to be supportive of electric vehicles and lithium-ion batteries, which I think is kind of stupid. Should be the story of the decade. Usually, smart car companies all over the world, billions of dollars at stake, and the media, no less stupid, have gone along with the manufactured nonsense about electric vehicles, the rhetoric, the narrative. Don't get it. Now, what do you think of conscription? There's a story the other day in the Australian. It comes up from time to time, and it is divisive. Australia is in a very vulnerable position, as I mentioned earlier this week, with an army unable to maintain even one brigade. From time to time, we've had 6 brigades, and with a much, much smaller population. I pointed out to you earlier in the week that the Australian Armed Forces, the 1st Expeditionary Force, was 600,000 strong. And I think we were barely 5 or 7, this was back in the First World War, I think we were basically about 5 or 7 million, the population of Australia. But we managed to put together 600,000 brave young fighting men. And today we can't put together one single brigade. 60,000 people if we're lucky. It must be time to at least consider conscription. Think about it. It works successfully in Israel and Singapore, where they don't have the sort of youth problems that we do here. Greece, I think Switzerland, Turkey, all have conscription without any controversy. Now, I guess we'd have to have some rules about it, like ideally young men and women would not serve in a war zone outside Australia, but they would be in preparation for going into the reserves, perhaps. Not 2 years, because people don't always want to, you know, disconnect themselves from their careers and their education. But there could be ways to put it together to everyone's advantage. You know, in America they have this thing called the GI Act, which is very useful. People have found it wonderful over the years. This is where if you go and do your national service, which they used to have to do, and you did a certain number of years, I think it was 3 years in the Army or the Air Force or the Navy, the feds, the government, would pay for your college education. That was very popular. Anyway, come Friday, we can take calls. Come tomorrow, we can talk about this, because we've got some time. And as I say, I know it's divisive, but it just might be necessary. We must be prepared. You know, the world is a dangerous place to be sitting around optimistically thinking that our allies will come and save us. You know, we're 27 million strong now. We have got the potential to be very self-sufficient. Strange new trends in the world, though. But keep that in mind for tomorrow if you want to ring on the show. I'd love you to do that. New trends. These are weird. Weird. Gender reveal parties. Ever heard of that, Pete?
No, that's a new one.
Gender reveal parties. Not a christening party. A gender reveal party. A trend in America, apparently. It's for people who discover the gender of their child and reveal it to everybody. Okay. Another trend is for people to marry themselves. Are you so narcissistic? You'd marry yourself? I can't believe that. That sounds pretty weird. Also, a bit like having a wedding reception, people apparently are throwing a divorce party. A divorce party. And inviting their former spouse. I don't know. I mean, it all sounds very civilized, I suppose, but okay, well, look, well, whatever rows your boat. One person dies every 6 hours from skin cancer. I heard this the other day. It's pretty frightening. You know, there was this strange line where an American entertainer, he got up there, and it wasn't a concert to raise money for Africa or anything like that, but he wanted to make some sort of, I think it was, oh, it's gone. Anyway, I'll just tell you the story. He was singing about, you know, his favourite songs and his hits and whatnot. And then he said, do you know? And he clapped his hands. Just clapped his hands. And he said, every time I clap my hands, a child in Africa dies. And this guy in the front row stood up and he said, well, stop clapping your hands. Which I don't think was the point of the protest, but there you go. Thought it was clever. One person dies every 6 hours from skin cancer. Well, we are very good at catastrophizing everything, including the weather. Look, I know there are dangers, and that's scary. Sitting in the sun and getting a suntan. One person every 6 hours sitting in the sun is dangerous. Crossing the road is dangerous. Listening to a politician is dangerous. Believing him or her is even more dangerous. What else? Buying an electric car or an electric scooter or bike is very dangerous, but somehow fashionable. A suntan used to be fashionable. Look, I've been in the sun most of my life. You, Pete?
Yes, and I've got the skin cancer scars to prove it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've suffered with it.
I don't want to minimise or downplay the dangers of skin cancer, melanoma. But when I'm lucky enough or have the time enough to sit in the sun for a while and get a tan, I'm sorry, I feel better. I feel happier. I feel healthier. I don't know. I know I don't want to be a bad example, but I don't want to lie to you. Getting a suntan is probably dangerous. I don't deny it. But what isn't? Maybe it's my age. But I will not live in fear, carefully thinking about every word I say lest I offend someone. Well, bugger all of that. I won't wear a shirt when I love the sun on my back. I love the feeling of the sun on my back. Look, in a couple of years, if I'm lucky enough still to be talking to you in one venue or another. There will probably be a story I will tell you about mass brittle bones, millions suffering from a lack of vitamin D, because that is what sunlight gives us, free. Just don't overdo it, maybe. I mean, that's perhaps the point.
Well, I have to say, my doctor has said I have to take my shirt off. I need vitamin D.
Oh, well, that's I think we all need vitamin D.
said-
Yeah. No, I think it's a vital thing. You don't hear anything about osteoporosis these days, yet it was a bit like repetitive strain injury. All of these things have a certain fashion. They become talking points, and the media jumps on the bandwagon, and it's the word, or it's the illness, or it's the malady of the day. Nominations are open for people who will be appointed to advise our state government here in South Australia on things that affect Aboriginal people. But that, of course, is everything. This is the legislated voice here in South Australia. In other words, the failed referendum taught them nothing. The voice reintroduced through the back door. More left-wing arrogance in the face of Australia. At great expense, rejecting the entire idea of that referendum. I've quite forgotten. I think it was half a billion dollars we spent. Well, they say, no matter, we're going to have a voice anyway. Oh. Do we have a Liberal Party with the chutzpah to pledge that they will get rid of it? Or are they simply Labor light? South Australia, to my knowledge, has not said who is going to pay for all of this, which really pretty much adds up to a third chamber. Will they want parliamentary secretaries and assistants and press secretaries, government cars? I don't know. But if it boils down to being an extra expense upon the taxpayer, it should come out of the trade union movement or out of the Labor Party, not out of general revenue. I don't want to pay for any of it. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. And I'll wish you a happy birthday, wedding anniversary, and a happy first day of the month, ladies and gentlemen, February the 1st. RCA released the first ever 45 RPM record. 1949. And would you believe it? I don't have a note here as to what it was. I wonder, I was going to Google it. No, I'll do that later. Talk about it tomorrow. Federal government's new national health insurance, Medicare, started 1984. This was the rebooted Medibank. I say rebooted, Medibank failed, Medicare. Same old, same old. Happy birthday to Normie Rowe, 1947. Johnny Ashcroft was born in 1927. What was Johnny Ashcroft's hit, Pete?
I should know, but I just can't think.
Do you remember Little Boy Lost?
No.
It was a song it was a true story about a little boy in the country who wandered away from home, and the entire township went out looking for him. It was a great song, Johnny Ashcroft, Little Boy Lost. The first life-saving club in Australia was set up at Bondi in New South Wales, 1906. I got a lot of feedback, by the way, from my suggestion or observation that maybe we should make swimming lessons compulsory, seeing as we've lost 67 people to drowning in just since the beginning of summer. Just since the beginning of summer. Lisa Marie, born to Elvis and Priscilla Presley, 1968. Tracks from the Beatles' For Sale album heard on Adelaide radio for the first time in 1965. That would have probably been 5 AD. Buster Keaton died in 1966. Ray Sawyer, former Doctor Hook member, the one with the patch, he was born in 1937. The Hollies concert at Memorial Drive here in South Australia, 1970. Don Everly was born in Brownie, Kentucky in 1937. Tony Murphy started broadcasting the Drive Time program on 5DN. Murph the Surf, they used to call him when he was on 2SM in Sydney. He was a nice bloke. 1977, I don't know where Tony Murphy is these days. The world's first motion picture studio opened in New Jersey, built by Thomas Edison in 1893. The first meeting of the United States Supreme Court on this day, 1790. The birth of AM stereo. Wow. AM stereo was something that, I don't know, somebody came up to make AM radio come through two speakers, so it was sort of sounded a bit like FM. And I don't know why. Oh, and I think I do know why it didn't ever take off. Because while we in broadcasting promoted the pants off it, and we were all broadcasting in AM stereo, there weren't the receivers in the shops. So even if people came in and wanted to buy an AM stereo radio, they couldn't. It's called getting your act together. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, jeremycordeaux.com from the dining room table will be broadcasting the Court of Public Opinion, 3 hours, live streaming, phone calls, bit of music, guests, fun. And it's interesting because anything can happen, including phone call dropouts and guests that don't turn up, the whole thing. Anyway, I mean, you like to tune in to see my embarrassment. You must. Do it. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, at the dining room table. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux, Peter Clayton behind the camera. I'll see you tomorrow and next week here in the garage on Facebook and podcasting. Believe in yourself and bye for now.